Hello everyone. So I recently made a video covering the Generation 3 Melomon which were recently announced in the other versions of the game, but as I'm sure you're aware, that is quite a long way away for us in our current level of progression. So with that in mind, I wanted to make this video which will be similar about the Generation 2 Melomon, which are definitely a lot closer to us in terms of progression, but still not that close as there is quite a bit of progression left for us before we unlock them. But with that in mind, I thought it would be interesting to go over these Generation 2 Melomon as well and just get a sense of what they'll be like, how much better are they really compared to our Generation 1 Melomon that we currently have in the game, and what sort of skills we should be looking forward to, and all that sort of stuff. So there are 5 new Generation 2 Melomon, so let's jump in and take a look at all 5 of them, starting with the dog. Now I'm going to be referring to these Melomon in most basic terms, so this is simply the dog. That's all you need to know. And so let's take a look at this. Now I have had these special skills and awakening skills translated with the help of Aerolice, so thank you Aerolice for helping with these translations and providing some of the information in this video. I think it's a little bit better than just relying on Google Translate, which sometimes give some questionable translations. So what do we need to understand about the dog? Let's start by taking a look at its awakening skill. The awakening skill increases haste by 30%, increases all damage by 30%, and increases all party members' damage by 12% and is non-stackable. So this is quite an interesting awakening skill because like seeing that it increases haste, number one, immediately puts in my mind that this could be great for a healer. And number two is the fact as well that it's increasing not only your damage output, but the damage output of all party members definitely makes it feel well with the outfit chosen for the dog here. Looks like they had it in mind that this would be the healer Melomon because, you know, you have haste, which is great, a moderate damage increase to 30%, which is fine, and increasing all party members' damage by 12%, which is a nice team-wide support buff. So very nice awakening skill for healers and could very well become the best in slot for healers when that releases. Now the dog's special skill is gain 4 stacks of the encourage buff and gain an additional encourage buff stack after each 10 seconds in combat. Each stack of encourage increases your attack by 2.2%, and additional stack amounts are capped at 2 times the number of party members. So another interesting special skill here for the dog. And how does this work? So each stack of encourage gives 2.2% attack. And if you start combat with 4 stacks, you're already starting with an 8.8% attack increase, and you gain an additional stack every 10 seconds up to 2 times the number of party members. So for example, if you're in a 4-player party, that means you'd be able to get 8 additional stacks for an additional 17.2%, if I can do my math, 17.6% I think, attack, which means that you're going to have almost 25% bonus attack. Now if you're in the dragon and you can get an additional 12 stacks, then that would be even more, almost over 30% attack. So this again is actually quite good for healers, since as you should know by now, your heals scale nicely on your attack. So having this additional attack percentage goes a long way to getting more heal output. So overall, this does feel like a very healer-centric Melomon, so quite interesting. Now, let's transition to the next Generation 2 Melomon, that will be the rabbit. So, now we have the rabbit, and again, if the visuals are enough to go on, where the dog definitely looked like it was intended to be a healer-type Melomon, here we have a beefy-looking rabbit with a full face helmet and shield and short sword and gauntlets on, so yes, if you guessed it, this is most likely going to be the best tanking Melomon, but let's understand why. And I kind of like that they've designed the Melomons relative to their intended combat purpose. Like, you look at this and you say, oh, it must be for tanks. You look at the previous one and say, oh, it looks like it should be for healers. And it's kind of nice having that actual visuals of the Melomon line up with what it's intended to be, its combat purpose. So, the rabbit, their awakening skill, increase all damage by 60%, taunt all enemies when cast, and increase the damage all enemies attacking you take by 8%. So similar to the previous awakening skill of the dog, the rabbit's awakening skill is an additional party-wide support because number one, it taunts all enemies, which is great to have an additional taunt, and number two, all enemies that are targeting the tank, presuming the tank is running this Melomon, will have the damage they take from all sources increased by 8%. So that's great as well for your party. You're going to basically give an 8% damage boost to your party by running this Melomon. So I think just like the dog feels super geared towards healers, this rabbit feels super geared towards tanks. Now that's just the awakening skill. Let's take a look at the special skill now. The special skill for the rabbit is increase all damage by 15%. And for each 20% HP the target is missing, increase that effect by 3%. So this effect can stack up to 4 times. Now, unfortunately, despite the awakening skill being very geared towards tanking, this special skill is just pure damage output, and probably as a tank you would not necessarily run this special skill because all it's doing is increasing your damage. And in fact, there are better damage increasing special skills even in Generation 1 Melomon. I'm looking at Colt and I'm looking at Demon Hound. So unfortunately, the special skill of the rabbit is kind of not that great when it comes to what we have available in the game right now, and as well, definitely not geared towards tanks. So tank would run the Melomon as probably the main slot for the awakening skill, and then run some different special skills, not including this one. So that is the rabbit. And now we move on to the 3rd Generation 3 Melomon, which is going to be the frog. I love the simple names here. It's the dog, it's the rabbit, it's the frog. Here we go. So let's take a look at the frog. And again, this is a caster looking frog holding a wand. Is this going to be best in slot for Scholar? Who knows? But, you know, maybe other DPS can use it too. But let's take a read of their awakening skill. Increase all damage by 60%. And within 10 seconds of casting, increase elemental damage with the same aspect of the core skill by an additional 60%. Very, very interesting. So, this is definitely going to be a awakening skill that you would run for a class that has a same element output build, and also one that benefits from basically benefits from the elemental damage of the core skill. So this could be used by many different classes as long as they have synergistic elemental the skills that they have are synergistic with the core skills element. Sorry, lost completely what I was trying to say there. So it's a 60% damage increase plus within 10 seconds, an additional elemental damage increase as the same element as the core skill by 60%. So it could be an 120% damage increase. Now, this is all right. This is okay. But keep in mind as well, like, I think the thing is that's in my head is Demon Hound's awakening skill, which people say Demon Hound is the only Melomon in Generation 1 that stands alongside the Generation 2 Melomon. And now that we're starting to read some of these skills, I'm starting to understand why they say that. Now, keep in mind, the thing you have to understand about Melomon, while their percentages for damage increase for Demon Hound are higher than so far these particular Melomons, Generation 2 Melomons damage, the Demon Hound is conditional because you're only getting the damage increase if you crit or if you get a crit or determination, whereas this damage increase of the frog and the previous ones are non-conditional, except for, of course, the elemental damage part. But otherwise, this is a flat 60% damage increase, and it has to be asked. I mean, the rate at which you'd be getting determination or lucky crits is quite high if you have spec'd your character right. But does a flat additional 60% damage increase outweigh a conditional 140% damage increase? And the numbers, of course, we're going to have to run when those Melomon are added to the game. But it is a question, and I'm asking that now so you can think about it as well. And so we'll have to see how that all works when the Generation 2 Melomon are added, and we see how it compares to Demon Hound with regards to damage output. So moving on from the Frog's Awakening skill, we have its special skill. So, for every 15 seconds, randomly gain between 25 and 30 stacks of the Hormone buff, and each stack of the Hormone buff increases your attack by 1.2% and lasts for 15 seconds. Wow. Okay, hold on now. Hold on a second now. This is rather interesting. So, every 15 seconds, you randomly gain 25 to 30 stacks of a buff, which increases your attack by 1.2% per stack and lasts for 15 seconds. So effectively, every 15 seconds, you're going to get an RNG amount between 27% to 36%, I think, if my math is correct. Yeah. So you're going to have an RNG amount between 27% and 36% if I'm too lazy to calculate that, but interesting. So this seems actually pretty good because it's every 15 seconds and it lasts for 15 seconds. So this is basically a flat 30% attack increase. So actually, this would be insane for a healer. So a healer, you can run this Frog's special skill. You would run the dog with his haste increase and all party member damage increase as your main awakening skill Melomon, and then you'd run this definitely as one of your special skills because this is just basically a flat 27 to 36% attack increase, which is going to give you even more healing output. So that sounds really good for healers. For the rest of the DPS, not so much, because like we've said many times, the scaling of damage percentage far outweighs attack percentage unless you're getting a lot of attack percentage. So something to keep in mind for healers. That's a very nice special skill for you. So moving on to our fourth and penultimate Melomon here from Generation 2, and that is going to be the cat. That's right, the cat. And would you look at that? It is a cat wearing a ranger's outfit. So is this going to be best in slot for the Archer class, for Rangers, for Eagle Eye, whatever it will be when Generation 2 Melomon come? Maybe, maybe not. But you can definitely tell that's what the developers had in mind when they were designing these Generation 2 Melomon. They wanted them to be more role-specific in their visual design, which again, I do like. So let's read the cat's awakening skill. Increase all damage by 30%. Gain an additional awakening charge speed of 2.7% during awakening, but reduce your healing by 50%. So, as far as awakening skills go, this is not great. You know, this is okay. It's not that great. It increases your awakening charge speed, yes, which probably means you'll get your awakening a fair bit faster while running this Melomon's awakening skill. But compared to Demon Hound, compared to even the Frog, which we just read, I don't see a reason necessarily why you would run this awakening skill over what we even already have in the game with Demon Hound, or even some of the ones we've already read just now. So this feels like a less good awakening skill to me. That's my personal opinion. I might be wrong. I'm basing this on my opinion of how these skills read to me based on my understanding of the game today. So it may be that there is a reason why this is good later in the next class change, for example, or whenever it will be when we get these Generation 2 Melomon, but for now, I just think that's just mediocre and not that exciting. But let's read the cat's special skill now. So their special skill is increase all damage by 6%, and increase that amount by 3% every time you cast the awakening skill up to 4 stacks. These stacks reset when combat ends or awakening ends. Interesting. So basically, it resets when combat ends or awakening ends. I'm starting to wonder if, based on this description, that the additional awakening charge speed is going to be fast enough that you're going to be permanently in awakening I'd have to look at this more when it comes into game, but from reading it at point blank value, it doesn't seem that good. But if it's tuned in such a way that with the additional awakening charge speed, you're going to always be an awakening, then I could definitely see this being quite interesting. Because if you can cast Awakening again while Awakening is still active, then you'd essentially stack this damage increase, and it would be quite good, actually. But anyway, so this is basically how this works. This is one of the situations where the Awakening skill and Special skill seem synergistic between each other, but it would have to be tested in practice to see just how good this is. If they've tuned it in such a way that you basically have permanent Awakening, it would be quite interesting and something to consider. But for now, just reading it doesn't seem that exciting unless, like I said, they've tuned that well. So moving on to the last Generation 2 Melomon here, and that is going to be the Fox. So, what's up with the Fox? Have we left the best for last, or is it okay? Let's find out. I have not pre-read this, so let's take a look. So, the Fox's Awakening skill. Increase all damage by 30%. Cancel the Awakening status after Awakening has lasted for 10 seconds. For each second the Awakening remains, increase the Awakening charge by 5%, up to 50%, and increase the damage boost from the next Awakening skill by 3%. Okay, here we have another really weird and interesting Awakening skill. So, number 1, a flat 30% damage increase. Fine, we understand that. Cancel the Awakening status after 10 seconds. So that's personally not that great, but okay. So your Awakening will only last for 10 seconds, but during that, it will charge itself up to 50% again, which means you're going to only have to charge for half the time to get to your Awakening again. And you're going to increase the damage boost from the next Awakening by 3%. I don't know if that stacks infinitely. It's going to go 33, 36, 39, 42, etc. Maybe it doesn't specify that. I assume it might increase. That would make it much more interesting than if it was just a single 3% increase. But yeah, so this is interesting. So you're basically sacrificing Awakening length for getting your Awakening at 50% charge and back again sooner. I could see this maybe working well if you had a class that benefited from a damage output cycle that lined up with getting this Awakening back off as soon as possible. Like if you had a 10-second burst and you kept getting your Awakening back sooner and sooner, then you could simply line up your 10-second burst with this Awakening and get nice damage output. So something to keep in mind, but yeah, again, not that exciting to me, but maybe there'll be some reason why this is better. Let's transition to the special skill of the Fox, the last skill in this video, and that is going to be deal 100% attack damage of true damage when Awakening starts or ends. Also increase all damage by 8% within 20 seconds after the effect triggers. This effect is stackable, but the duration is independent, and the trigger interval is 8 seconds. So that's rather interesting. So you're going to deal 100% attack of true damage, which is not that much damage, but whenever Awakening starts or ends, you're going to get an additional 8% damage increase for 20 seconds. Okay, so again, synergistic special skill with the Awakening skill, but just looking at the values of these, I mean, I don't know how much these are going to scale up as you level up the Melomon, but, you know, the thing is, keep in mind, these are all the values at level 1, right? So, I realized I misspoke earlier because I said, oh, Demon Hound is higher percentages. Of course, Demon Hound that you're probably using is probably +4 right now and has been leveled up already, but these are all the level 1 skill percentages, so then they could scale up quite nicely. Anyway, I think that this is interesting. Again, it doesn't strike me as necessarily the best special skill I've read until now. I think something like Colt or Demon Hound special skills could still be viable alongside some of these. But anyway, there you have it. A total summary of the Generation 2 Melomon and their special and awakening skills. And yeah, while they're definitely better overall, I do also understand why people say Demon Hound is still a contender in the Generation 2 Melomon, since its awakening skill and special skill are still exceptional. But there you have it, a summary of the Generation 2 Melomon, something to look forward to. Still a fair ways out for us progression-wise, but once it gets here, we're going to have quite a lot to consider and a lot of testing to do to see which will be on top. So anyway, that's a wrap for this video. Hope you enjoyed and gained some useful information here for our upcoming Melomon. And hit that like button if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. And if you have not already, join the Discord. I look forward to seeing you all there. So thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.